Welcome back to another video, everybody. We have a lot to discuss as we get into probably the most eventful day of this week's trading week. It's been a short week. It's been pretty eventful so far with a lot of these market movements, but tomorrow is very critical in setting the tone for where we move forward. And again, we're also going to be covering some of your favorite names here, the short-term charts and the most recent pieces of news on Palantir, SoFi, and HIMS to give you guys a better picture of what to expect next on those individual names. So before we get into all of that information, guys, if you guys do enjoy the information and analysis that I provide for you guys in these videos here, make sure you go down and hit that like button. Costs you nothing to do it, but it helps me out a whole lot in spreading this information out to as many people who actually want to learn. And again, make sure you guys are subscribed and turn on notifications so you're notified every time these videos do end up getting posted live. And as always, massive shout out to all of the members of my private trading and investing community. Less trades, more profits. Guys, I'm going to throw up some of the gain screenshots on the screen right here. Again, if you guys want to come in and take advantage of the 50% off your first month sale, use code July with that link down below. I don't know how many more times you guys need to see me do this here. Is it 10 more times, 20 more times? You guys have seen it over the last couple of weeks. Just the amount of absolutely insane trades that I've been taking and all of my members in the community have been able to take advantage of there. Again, you guys want to come in and take full advantage of everything that the market has to offer, this is the right place for you. And it's literally only $1 a day with that code July. So let's get into everything over here, guys, and start discussing a little bit about what this market has been really focused on after we've gotten through that hurdle with the escalation of the conflict in the Middle East. So obviously this is going to be those trade deals as we get into the deadline over the next week here. Vietnam will pay the United States a 20% tariff on any and all goods sent into our territory. Trump also said a 40% tariff on any transshipping as well that Vietnam is going to pay. So again, when we think about what this market is looking for, as we get into that trade deadline, the market is going to start to look at some of these new trade deals coming out and compare the new rates to what they were looking at before on Liberation Day. These tariffs that Vietnam is now going to pay here, about 20%, is about half of what they were listed at on Liberation Day. So obviously the market is going to view that as a positive development, and we've heard a lot of comments over the last couple of days here that over this weekend and next week we're going to see a flurry of new trade deals coming out, which definitely can help the market start to move even further to the upside here. Now, the next thing that we need to discuss is what we have going into tomorrow here. So for those of you guys that have been paying attention to everything that we've been talking about on this channel, again, the Fed has been very worried over the last couple of months here, really the entirety of 2025, of the risks of stagflation, which is effectively inflation moving up, growth slowing down, and unemployment moving to the upside. And the Fed viewed these risks as being elevated because the textbook is going to tell them that tariffs should increase prices or really cause a little bit of inflation. It's really not inflation, it's a tax or a short-term price increase. But again, it can be reflected in some of these inflation reports. Now, with what we're seeing out of Goldman Sachs here, Goldman sees June jobs report missing forecast, especially after what we saw with the ADP payroll report today showing a loss of jobs versus what the market was expecting. In addition of jobs there, again, it is possible that we do end up seeing a decent sized miss to the downside during non-farm payrolls tomorrow, and we could see the unemployment rate tick up as well. Now, what you have to realize about that situation there is that when we do have a certain scenario play out like that, the market can definitely have a knee-jerk reaction to the downside because obviously they don't want to see unemployment moving to the upside. But what does that actually do at the end of the day? Well, it increases the likelihood of rate cuts coming sooner than what the market is expecting right now. And we can already see some of these rate cut projections moving up in some of the probability metric tools that we can take a look at here. Again, the Fed Watch tool, about a month ago, we were projecting about, it's hard to see here, let me scroll down so you guys can see this, 25.6% probability here of 3 rate cuts in total in 2025, or effectively 75 basis points of rate cuts coming in 2025. Now that probability, especially after this ADP payroll report and some of the other economic data that we have received over the last couple of weeks here, those projections are now stating a 46% probability of 3 rate cuts coming this year versus what the market was expecting before, which was 2 rate cuts. And obviously, a lot of these probabilities can change after what we see out of non-farm payrolls tomorrow. So let's start getting into some of these individual names here, guys. Now that we have kind of the big picture, what to look for, and why tomorrow is going to be so important for the market, let's first talk about Palantir here. So I don't want to come out here and victory lap because I know a lot of people might have looked at what was happening on Friday here and were really led astray by some of these other people on the internet here telling them that this dip that we saw on Friday was just going to get bought back up because it was the result of a rebalancing move. Guys, when you look at charts here and you see these different types of moves happen over and over and over again, this type of candle moving to the downside here is definitely not bullish. So we easily could be in for some more downside ahead in Palantir if we do break below this 128.50 area and start moving to the downside. We could easily get back to this 120-119 area. Now, I don't want anybody to think that I'm coming out and saying that Palantir is going back to the 50s or going to zero, but when you do have a stock that is as extended as Palantir is, even though they are doing everything that they need to as a company fundamentally to continue growing their commercial segment and government segments, again, this one is probably in for a little bit of a breather in the near future here, as the market starts to hold it to a higher standard. Now, some good news coming out for Palantir today as well. Again, here we can see that the nonprofit integrator supporting the Navy's efforts to strengthen the maritime industrial base, and Palantir Technologies today announced the launch of Warp Speed for Warships, a bold new program envisioned to accelerate warship production, fleet readiness, and digital transformation. So again, another contract kind of in the defense area for Palantir here. So continuously showing that they can operate not only in the defense sector like we're seeing here, but like with a lot of these other additional partnerships that Palantir has started to engage in, they can operate in pretty much any sector in any segment. Now, moving along here, let's talk a little bit about SoFi. So a lot of you guys were paying attention to these videos here. We did outline this big weekly breakout for SoFi here that did end up playing out, running through all of our short-term targets here. And on the streams that I do for you guys every single day at 10:30, I was outlining again the potential and the kind of high probability that SoFi kind of goes flat from here. We could easily see a period of consolidation in this name as the market kind of balances out, gets through this holiday weekend, and as we get closer to SoFi's earnings report coming out at the end of July, which is most likely going to decide where this name wants to trade next. We're going to get a lot more insights into a lot of these new crypto offerings that SoFi is looking to bring out. Again, SoFi, again, one of the best AI stocks according to hedge funds. On June 26th, SoFi Technologies announced that the company expanded its digital financial services, particularly through new crypto-powered capabilities and blockchain innovations. This positions SoFi as a modernized financial services provider. Now, again, we do want to see significant member growth and user growth on SoFi as well, but we are not going to get that information until the end of the month. But seeing this movement in SoFi ahead of their earnings report is definitely a welcome development for all of the SoFi shareholders here. Remember, I own this one at $6.55, and seeing this one rally way back up off of these lows here that we were seeing back in April in the 9s in the sub 10 range, all the way back up to 18 and almost 19 here is definitely a positive development. Now, the last name that I want to discuss with you guys in this video here is another retail favorite, and that is Hims. Now, something I've been talking about with this name, whether it's on the streams or in the last couple of videos I've made on this channel here, is that this one is not out of the woods yet. I know that a lot of individuals here were trying to buy the dip on this day, and again, that was a pretty solid dip buy there. You are up a decent amount from those dip buys after the day that Novo Nordisk announced that they were no longer going to be partnering up with HIMS, but this is a name, guys, that is going to have a lot of volatility in the short term here, and is one that if you were getting in when I was outlining this for everybody between 30 to 31 here, you are still sitting in a massively green position here, even with the stock trading at 47. Again, you do have to worry about some of these risks here. There are a couple of class action lawsuits coming out against HIMS here, really because of the situation with Novo Nordisk here. According to the complaint, on April 29th, HIMS announced a long-term collaboration with Novo Nordisk, starting with the immediate sale of a bundled offering of Novo Nordisk FDA-approved Wegovy. However, on June 23rd, Novo Nordisk issued a press release announcing it was terminating its partnership with HIMS based on Hims & Hers deceptive promotion and selling of illegitimate knockoff versions of Wegovy that puts patient safety at risk. And because of that news, the company's share price fell 34%. The plaintiff alleges that during the class period, the defendants failed to disclose to investors that HIMS had engaged in these practices here. Again, I don't really think that this lawsuit is really going to go anywhere, mainly because there is that legal gray area when it comes to these compounded versions of these drugs here. So I wouldn't really be all that worried about this class action lawsuit, but it is definitely something that you have to keep in mind if you are invested in this name. So, guys, that is going to wrap up this video here. If you guys did enjoy the information and analysis that I provided for you guys in this one, make sure you go down and hit that like button. Costs you nothing to do it, but it helps me out a whole lot in spreading this information out to as many people who actually want to learn. And again, if you're not subscribed yet, make sure you guys hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you're notified every time these videos do end up going live. And for those of you guys that are taking that right step forward and joining the Less Trades, More Profits community, can't wait to see you in there. We're going to get you on the same page as everybody else. But other than that, guys, I'll see you tomorrow. Peace.